So function notation is because you're going to start moving on to piecewise functions. So not everything is set equal to y, like y equal 3x minus 5. Like you can't graph a function made up of say 3 separate functions, and it's just y equal, y equal, y equal. Like if I tell you to substitute into this, like it has this domain, this function, and this domain has this function, and this one has this specific domain, and I just tell you let x equal this, you're like, well, which of the 3 functions do you want me to put it into? So that's where function notation comes into play. It helps designate, okay? So if you guys have f of x is equal to, say, 2x, and say you have g of x is equal, and this is not on the worksheet, by the way, okay, x minus 1, and I tell you f of 2, and then I tell you f of, say, 10, what that means is, and it's read f of 2, oh, this one I wanted g, but it's fine, f of 10, and then I'll do 2 g1s after, okay. So what it's telling you is that f of x is just y, so you're letting y equal f of x, because we're going to get very specific as far as naming our functions, okay. So if I put f of 2, what it really means is, remember, it's typically x, but now it's 2, so I'm telling you let x equal 2 and substitute. So you're going to take that 2 for x, so that's all this means. This notation just means let x equal 2 and substitute into that function. And since I put f of 2, you know to substitute the 2 for x into this function, you know not to go to this function because that's the letter G and this is the letter F. That's it. It just helps designate it. Okay. You guys remember it. So if I tell you let x equal 2, you're going to let f of 2 here, and so equal 2, and substitute the 2 value for the x. That's it. And so what is 2 times 2? 4. So obviously this is a really easy function, so it looks like a whole lot of work. It's like a lot of writing. Yes, but it's because you eventually get led into piecewise functions. Because remember, from this class, you can either go pre-calculus and then, of course, calc. And obviously, this is what it's setting you up for. If you go into the route of stats or AP stats, nothing. Okay, you get a whole new list of terms. Or you can go Mr. Barraza's AP computer programming, which is also math credit. So, you know, again, this doesn't really pick up. All right, I mean, they do the piecewise, but it's a little different. Okay, so here you have that. So how would it be written? F of 2 equals 4. And so this is exactly, your input is 2, your output is 4, which is exactly when you were doing an XY table, 2, 4. So you guys just know in mathematics, you can keep writing things in different ways, in a table, in a function, as a point, like a coordinate point, right? And so that's all function notation is. Okay, so if I give you f of 10, what's f of 10 equal to then?
X minus 1.
Yeah. So then f of 10 is 20, right? F of 2 is 4. We'll do geos in a second. Right, so you just substitute. So I'm a teacher. I write way more than what you guys would write. It's kind of my job. So obviously you can kind of clean it up as you need it. Okay. All right. If I look for g of x, okay. So if I give you g of 8, then what is g of 8 equal to? This is a function I'm going to use, right? So if g of x, if the function g of x is equal to x minus 1, what would be g of 8 equal to? Huh? 7, right. Because 8 minus 1 equals 7, so g of 8 equals 7. Right, so Hassani's right. Right? And so that's like the coordinate point 8, 7, or on an XY table, 8 is on the input, 7 is the output, or coordinate point 8, 7. Okay, so that's all you're doing with function notation. So the first, here, let me do another one just with squaring really quick. Okay, so say I give you n of a. Okay, and I give you 2a squared minus 5a, and I tell you give me n of 3. And if I want n of 3, what I'm asking you to do is let a equal 3 and substitute. And so function notation has the name of the function on the left, right? And then on the right side, it has the terms, right? The behavior of the function. So you're only substituting on the right side, okay? So n of 3 then is equal to 2, 3 squared minus 5, substitute the 3. And so you can go to a calculator and you can type what you see, or you can solve it by steps, right? So if you're just going on 2, whoops, turn it on, 2, 3 squared, and so I get 3. Yeah, so I get 3. So what is n of 3? 3. All right, so that's the function notation with substituting in for the independent variable. So why don't you work on 1 through 8? Okay, you're welcome to use your calculators on your phone, right, if you kind of don't want to touch stuff. This first period, just like a few students grab the calculators. If you use the calculators, you're welcome to just hand sanitize, right, or if you want to go wash your hands, up to you. Okay. But here, remember, you got to make sure you need to know how to use these calculators, because on quizzes, no phones, no Desmos. As far as technology, it's only these calculators or your own little calculator. So you need to know how to practice substituting into here. So if you're going the square root of, say, 4 and say you're going to go times 3, you got to know to click out. Right, so you need to practice with the calculators if you haven't, okay? All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Okay, so it's gonna kind of disappear, but once it loads, it'll come back.